First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Indian University for this opportunity. This is my first time in Korea, and I'm really honored to be here. In the last 2 days, I was really amazed at the hospitality of all of you here, and it feels really good to be with all of you and share a little about what's going on in India. My topic today is on policies and market drivers for bioplastics in India. Now, typically, when we talk about single-use plastics is the fastest growing market segment in plastics. And primarily, single-use plastics are essentially carbon-carbon backbone polymers. Now, when we talk of carbon-carbon backbone polymers, it is one of the strongest bonds ever possible in nature. And that's why it's very difficult to break this bond. So while plastics are excellent materials, whether it's being cost-effective, lightweight, can be processed, they continue to exist in the environment for extended periods of time, and that is primarily because of this carbon-carbon backbone polymers. And over the last 5 to 6 years, there is a lot of emphasis on single-use plastics getting accumulated in the environment and all the health concerns that it's causing because of this. When we talk about the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, there are statistics which say that by 2050, there could be potentially more plastics than fish in the ocean. And the question to all of us here is, how do we look at our thought process to be aligned to design, use and reuse of plastics? And one of the goals which is being put forward is 100% of the plastic packaging to be reusable, recyclable or compostable by 2025. Now, when we look at the circular economy vision of the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, we have several components in this. The first one is, how do you eliminate any problematic or unnecessary packaging? How can we look at models where we can reduce the packaging? If you can't eliminate it, then can you at least reduce it? Then we look at, if you can't reduce it, can you make the packaging recyclable, reusable or compostable? And create ecosystems around this which actually show that there is recycling happening or any composting happening. And the fifth point is, how do you decouple the feedstock issue from the end of life? So we've heard a lot of people talk about bio-based products and compostability, and they are completely two different value propositions. And finally, can we ensure that our plastic packaging is free of hazardous chemicals and it protects the livelihood of everyone who's involved in this industry? So these are the guiding principles around which the next vision for single-use plastics is going to be defined. I'm going to quickly skip through these slides because this has been spoken a lot. When we talk of bioplastics, we are looking at two concepts. One is, what is bio-based? And here it refers to the origin of the carbon in the molecule. Whether the carbon is coming from a petroleum feedstock or is the carbon coming from a biologically derived feedstock. And when we talk of biodegradability or compostability, that refers to the end of life in the sense that, does the packaging or the product get completely assimilated in the disposal environment by the microorganisms? And that's where the concept of certified compostable plastic comes in. All bio-based plastics are not necessarily biodegradable or compostable, and all biodegradable compostable plastics are not necessarily bio-based. When we talk of the value proposition of bio-based, typically your petroleum feedstock, which is the source for your plastics, is derived over millions of years by the fossilization of biomass. And when we take plastics and we use it, let's say we use it for 1 year or 2 years and then we incinerate it, we put out carbon dioxide. This carbon dioxide gets fixed into the same plants by a process called photosynthesis. We've studied this in school. In the presence of sunlight and oxygen, plants fix carbon dioxide and give out oxygen. This is the way in which carbon is being cycled. Now, what is the problem in this whole cycle? On the left hand side, you can see that the time scale of putting out carbon dioxide is 1 to 10 years, while the time scale to fix that same carbon dioxide back is in millions of years. So this is a kinetic effect where we are putting out more carbon dioxide than what we can fix back, and as a result, this is kind of contributing to the whole global warming and the greenhouse gas emission. When we use materials directly from plants, or when we use renewable resource feedstocks, the time scale of fixing the carbon is in balance to the time scale of putting it out, and hence bio-based materials add value in maintaining the carbon footprint cycle. So why bio-based? It's got a reduced carbon footprint. It creates food security for the rural economy, and finally, we also need to look at what happens on the biodegradability part of it. Typically, biodegradability goes through a phase of fragmentation, which is the first step in the biodegradation process, and then you have a complete microbial assimilation of the microorganism in whatever disposal environment. So when we talk compostable, it is essentially biodegradation under composting conditions. You could have biodegradation in soil, marine, anaerobic. So these are different end-of-life ecosystems for biodegradation. And for compostability, there has to be complete assimilation of the carbon within 180 days in an industrial composting. I have a small video I would like to show. This is before I talk about India. I just wanted all of you to just get a feel for this. It's a general video. Essentially, if you look at India as a country, our GDP is $3.75 trillion and we are the 5th largest economy in the world. We have been growing at an average of about 6%. In 2023, there is an estimated growth of 6.1% GDP. In 2021, the per capita consumption of plastics in India was only 15 kilograms. When you look at the per capita consumption of plastics in the US, it is about 140 kgs, which is almost 8 to 9 times higher than what it is in India. Now, this plastics consumption is expected to increase over the next 3 to 5 years because of the increasing per capita income. There is a definite rising consumerism and definitely more spending because of a lot of income, disposable income being available with the people. However, because of this increase, there is also a rampant plastic waste or litter problem which has forced the central and the state governments to restrict use of conventional plastics in certain applications. I would now like to talk about the legislative scenario in India. So the Plastics Waste Management Rule, which is published by the Government of India, talks about certain restrictions of single-use plastics. From January 1st of 2022, earbuds with plastic sticks on flags, balloons and candies have been prohibited. And then single-use plastic, which includes polystyrene and expanded polystyrene, and items such as plates, cups, glasses, cutlery, forks, knives and spoons, wrapping films, and any film which is less than 75 microns and then moved to 120 microns from 2023 have been restricted. And the notable feature in this waste management rule is that compostable plastics are exempted from the above restriction. Now, what has also happened in the country is India is an extremely strong plastics industry, and there in the recent past there has been a situation where additive based technologies have percolated into the market. So today we have the Plastics Waste Management Rule, which talks about biodegradable polymers being different from compostable polymers, which is fundamentally a flaw, because compostable polymers are nothing but they are biodegradable under composting conditions. So these biodegradable polymers, what is meant is basically they are talking about oxo or photo or some kind of an additive technology. And we have been working very closely as part of the Indian Compostable Polymer Association. We have been working very closely with the government to provide the right knowledge and awareness about some of these technologies. But as of now, compostable plastics have applications in all these different sectors. And when we look at the waste management implications in India, by 2047, the pace at which waste is being generated, we would require about 1,400 square kilometers of landfill space to dump all the waste. So the government is extremely serious about finding solutions of at least 50% of the waste if it's organic. If that can go into more managed infrastructures like composting, then that solves a major portion of the problem. I would like to now spend a few minutes on some of the key stakeholders in the Government of India who play different roles as far as the plastics waste management policy is concerned. The first is the Ministry of Environment, Forests and Climate Change. This is the ministry under which the Central Pollution Control Board of the Government of India actually operates on, and this is the nodal ministry which creates all the plastics waste management notifications, rules and amendment. Now, this ministry is guided by the Central Pollution Control Board, who are more of the authority who ensure that the right technology, the right policies are being percolated within the government. Then we have the Department of Chemicals and Petrochemicals, Government of India, who work very closely with the Ministry of Environment and Forests in policy creation. And under the Department of Chemicals and Petrochemicals, we have CIPET, which is the Central Institute for Petrochemical Engineering and Technology. CIPET is a testing body, and as per the Government of India rules, if any company wants to sell compostable plastic in India, they have to have their product tested at CIPET by ISO 17088, which is same as ISO 17088, and ISO 17088 is the standard under which CIPET will test, and then that company has to get a certificate from the Central Pollution Control Board. About 4 years back, there were 5 companies who had the approval, and as of today, there are over 220 companies in India who are certified by, tested by CIPET and certified by the Central Pollution Control Board. So, what I can tell you here is there is an exponential growth in terms of the number of companies who are getting into India as a manufacturer of finished compostable products. Then we have the Bureau of Indian Standards, which is the standard making body. So any new standard which has to come out in the country, we will have to work with the Bureau of Indian Standards, who will then provide direction to the Ministry of Environment and say that here is a new standard that we will have to follow. So that's the role of the Bureau of Indian Standards. The last two bodies who I would like to talk about is, one is the National Green Tribunal that you see on the right hand side. The National Green Tribunal is almost like a Supreme Court kind of a body who work only on environmental cases. So if there is any problem, and if as a common man, if I want to take something to the government, I can fast track my whole process by going to the National Green Tribunal, who will basically resolve all cases relating to environmental issues. And finally, we have the Niti Aayog, who is kind of an interface between the industry and the government. And the Niti Aayog is a technical body which evaluates all new technologies that are coming into the country, and they help the central government work with all the state governments in making these technologies go commercial and also provide the right infrastructure for these technologies. So this is a snapshot of all the key stakeholders within the Indian government who would be responsible at some point on any new technology, and especially with compostable plastics. Some of the present applications that we can see in the Indian market for compostable plastics. First, I'll talk about the applications. We have shopper bags, which is the regular carry bags, garbage bags, fruit and vegetable bags, apparel bags, which are used for packing garments, paper cups, which are coated with a PLA coating, cutlery, which is again the fork, knife and spoon, transparent glasses, cup lids, and then straight and bent straws. These are some of the key applications, and Some of the big brands who are right now, Big Basket is one of the largest online food service and grocery provider, and they supply all their green leafy vegetables in fully compostable packaging. So Swiggy is another e-commerce platform which is basically a delivery platform. So Swiggy connects all the restaurants to the consumers, and they use compostable bags to deliver food, to deliver groceries, to deliver all the household items. I have Pepe Jeans and Aditya Birla Group. They are two of the companies who use compostable bags for packing apparel. ITC, which is Indian Tobacco Company, but they are one of the largest FMCG companies in India. They have a turnover of over $15 billion, and they are also into paper. So ITC uses PLA from NatureWorks for doing coating on paper, which is then used for making paper cups which are sold to McDonald's and Starbucks in India. And then we have Fruity, which is a brand which is very synonymous to Indian consumer. It's a it's a beverage brand. A small Fruity comes in about 10 rupees, 10 Indian rupees, which will be approximately 15 cents. That's the value of that. And then every Tetra Pak has a small bench straw. And ever since the bench straw got rejected or restricted, now these brands have switched to compostable straws, compostable bench straws. So this is again an overview of some of the key applications, some key customers. Of course, there are several other customers who are using compostable products, but this is an overview of some of the key customers. I'm quickly going to go through some of the applications we see in the hospitality segment. You can see bags like liner bags, carry bags, laundry bags, shirt bags. This is some applications on the industrial side. That's a bus company. It's called ACGL. It's in Goa, and it's owned by the Tata Group. And they use seat covers with compostable films. This is a company called Eureka Forbes who sells water purifiers. Eureka Forbes is one of the oldest brands in India, being around for over 50 years. They were one of the first companies to actually go door-to-door marketing. So they used to come to every household to sell their product, and they were very synonymous with that. They are using compostable bags for packing some of their accessories. And these are some of the other applications. You have liner bags, which is being used by a lot of hotels and restaurants in the country to collect organic waste. Cutlery, that's a cup lid which is used by McDonald's in India. These are bench straws which I was talking about that goes behind the Tetra Pak. The other big development that we are seeing in India is how do we look at compostable products in partnership with other technologies like paper. Now this is very important in the Indian context because paper, I'm sure everywhere, but more so also in India, consumers have a very positive vibe when they look at paper. I would say one negative component about compostable plastics is, to the eyes of the consumer, it is still a plastic. And many times, consumers want something aesthetically different. So paper provides that value proposition. And here we can talk of a lot of applications where we can combine paper and PLA. Paper has got some unique properties of being opaque, recyclable, and then PLA is a transparent material. PLA offers great oil and grease barrier. And then when you combine it, you get a better product which has got all the good properties of paper and also the performance attributes that the conventional plastic don't bring. So we are starting to see or develop more applications where there is combination of these kinds of hybrid structures. And some applications are, of course, in the food service. We have paper cups and plates, but we also have secondary packaging, which is, window packing with paper, with a transparent PLA window, where barrier is not a major requirement, because we all know that compostable polymers don't have a very good barrier. So obviously we have to look at applications where the barrier is provided by another packaging substrate, which could be like a toffee. When you have a toffee which is got a primary packaging, then this becomes a secondary packaging. And then courier bags, mailer bags is another big market for compostable paper hybrid laminates. There has also been a significant development in terms of the composting infrastructure in the country, because this is something that always gets talked about, that if you're selling compostable products, if there's no infrastructure, then how are you going to compost it? And I would like to inform that in FY22, as a country, we had over 3,000 composting sites as a country. And the government has been very active in promoting segregation of waste, and several states have been looking at micro-composting facilities. So the state I come from, Chennai, which is part of the Tamil Nadu state, we are now doing a project with the local city council in providing these bags to all households, and we are going to be taking it to a micro-composting site and ensuring that the waste along with the compostable plastic is getting completely composted. So I would like to say this is a nascent stage still. I'm not saying that we have a lot of infrastructure built, but at least one positive thing is the government wants to build this infrastructure. And we also started the extended producer responsibility policy in our country, where we have to essentially take ownership of all the packaging we put in. And what the government has said is that for compostable plastics, they've given up to 3 years. Till 2027, we have time so that that can be used for building that composting infrastructure. This is one of the trials we had done with one of the local municipalities in India, and we've collected the waste and we actually had it composted in less than 90 days. I also am a part of the Indian Compostable Polymer Association, and we are essentially an association which was represented by individuals and companies, and we have been working very closely with the government on policy creation, advocacy, and providing the right awareness. We hope to work very closely with all the global associations as well, and we would also like to thank Dr. Ramani Narayan, who is a professor at Michigan State. He is an advisor to this association, and we also encourage any of the companies who would be interested to work in India. We would be very happy to have you join our association and be a part of it, and reap the benefits of being in this industry. I would also like to talk a little bit about Nature Tech as a company, and these are my last 3-4 slides. We are very happy and proud to be associated with NatureWorks, and we are the authorized partners of NatureWorks, and we have been promoting the NGO brand in India. We are looking at several applications, obviously spanning flexible films, paper-based packaging, rigid applications, food serviceware, and we're really thankful to NatureWorks for this opportunity, and we hope that this will create better partnership in the future. And as a company, NatureTech is part of Northern Technologies International Corporation. We are a publicly listed company in the US, and we have a presence in over 50 countries worldwide. We have 3 business divisions that we operate. Zero Xcord, which is our business into anti-corrosion packaging. So we work on providing corrosion management solutions to the automotive industry. We also have an extension of that technology in the oil and gas space. We supply corrosion management solutions to oil and gas companies, especially for storage tanks, flange savers, pipeline protection. And finally, Nature Tech, where we do business in bio-based and compostable plastics. We have an R&D and innovation team which is headquartered in Minneapolis. We are right next to NatureWorks. We are in Minneapolis, Circle Pines. And we have a strong association with Michigan State University in the Department of Advanced Bio-Based Materials. We also work closely on projects funded by the US Department of Defense, and we also have funding from the National Science Foundation in the US. And being a global company, we have essentially presence across the world. In Asia, we are present in India, China with manufacturing. We also have manufacturing partners in Europe and in the US as well. So I want to once again thank you for this opportunity, and it's been a real honor to be here and share our thoughts about India and what we are doing. And hopefully I can once again encourage, if anyone is interested to work in India, we would be more than happy, and look forward to a very positive collaboration with all of you. Thank you once again.